Cape Cod Broadcasting weaves the listening environments of 99.9 WQRC, Ocean 104.7, WFCC Classical 107.5, Cape Country 104, and CapeCon.com's website experience to reflect the lifestyles of the people who live, work, and play on Cape Cod. We hope that you enjoy this podcast.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal. We're joined by the Reverend Nell Fields of Wacoit Congregational Church and Paul Rifkin of Cotuit, who is a photographer, writer, videographer, activist, and restaurant owner. A Renaissance man, if you will. We're talking about the Monarch Project of Cape Cod, which is meant to help the survival of monarch butterflies who stop on Cape Cod during their long migratory journey. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Paul, I believe this project may have started with you, but let's start with a little overview on monarch butterflies. They have an interesting migratory journey during their lives from Mexico to Canada, and they stop on Cape Cod. Can you talk about that?
Sure. The monarch is an iconic, absolutely gorgeous creature and well worthy of our attention this morning. They winter over in the mountains in Michoacan, north of Mexico City, and they hibernate for the winter. And then early in April, right around now actually, they wake up, they mate, and they start to fly north. And the journey is a absolute wonder as they'll stop in Texas, and the females will lay their eggs on the underside of the milkweed leaf, and then that butterfly, the female dies, and the next generation is born. The egg turns into a caterpillar and a chrysalis, and then opens up into this magnificent orange and black specimen. And that generation continues the trip north, and this goes on several times, and they come here to Cape Cod, as I'm sure we all know, and they go to Canada, and they breed here, and then in the fall they return to the same fir trees up in the high mountains in Michoacan. But it's not the same butterfly. It's the fourth or fifth generation, and so the question is, how do these fifth-generation butterflies know to return to the same tree that its great-grandmother or grandfather came from? Maybe scientists will find this out someday, but right now I reckon only God knows the answer to that question.
So one of the miracles of nature. Nell, the Monarch Project of Cape Cod gives away milkweed plants at your church's Saturday Farmers Market. And I think your catchphrase is "got milkweed" for this. And Paul touched upon this, but how is milkweed important, and why did you decide that would be the part of the project that you'd help with in terms of the butterflies?
Well, the milkweed is the plant monarchs like. They lay their eggs on the leaves, the caterpillar eats the leaves, and one way to restore the monarch habitat is to plant milkweed. It used to grow all over here in Cape Cod, and for a variety of reasons, sort of development, and then we wanted our beautiful lawns, and so we sprayed herbicide and pesticides on the lawns. The milkweed is almost gone. I remember someone telling me that last year they only saw 2 butterflies. Wow. So what we're doing is that we are giving away milkweed seed for free. And people can come and pick up a package of seeds. It includes the growing instructions. It includes how to germinate or stratify the seed. Later on, as we get them, we will actually have some starter plants as well for people.
Okay, and let's talk about the environmental threats to butterflies. Paul, why do you think their numbers are decreasing?
Well, specifically, I think their numbers are decreasing across this country because the milkweed is disappearing. I just wanted to add something to what Nell was saying. It's not just that the monarch likes the milkweed. It is a necessity for the monarch butterfly to reproduce. It is the only plant that the caterpillar can receive first nourishment on. And so if there are no milkweed plants, there is no reproduction for the for the butterfly. So not only the migration, but indeed the whole species is vulnerable here. Across the country, a big part of the problem environmentally is the government started subsidizing corn production and for ethanol. And so instead of having a bunch of open fields next to the cornfields where milkweed and other wildflowers are growing, all those fields have been taken under agricultural domain, and they're all sprayed with Roundup product, which kills every plant except the genetically modified corn. Wonderful for the corn, wonderful for the farmers, wonderful for ethanol. Not so much for those of us that appreciate the monarchs and other pollinators which are losing out because of this.
Now, Paul, how did you first get interested in the monarch butterflies? I know you've taken beautiful pictures of them on Cape Cod, but you also traveled to Mexico.
Yes, Laura. 10 years ago, my lady and I traveled to Mexico, in particular to see the monarch butterflies. We went around this time of the year. We rode horses up side of this mountain. We got up to the fir trees up high in the mountains, and first you see a couple of butterflies fluttering, and then you see a few hundred fluttering, and then you cannot see the sky for the butterflies. The sight was so spectacularly wonderful for me that I broke down crying, and I've been attached to that creature ever since, coming back, taking pictures, learning about them, and watching them disappear season by season, and very saddened by that. So that was the inspiration for the project. And the project is really taking off wonderfully. Reverend Nell and I are not the only ones that understand the wonder and the beauty of this creature. We have received calls from organizations and individuals all over the Cape up to Boston wanting our seed, and we are happy to provide.
And Paul, I think you made a film of that trip to Mexico, and people can maybe see that on YouTube, and they showed it at the Woods Hole Film Festival also.
Correct.
And you can tell while watching that film, which is quite beautiful, about the spiritual effect of the visit on you. Nell, why don't you speak to the spiritual connection with the monarch butterflies?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, in my tradition, we believe that God calls us to be co-creators with God, that we are given the responsibility to take care of the earth and to take care of God's creatures. So, and clearly the monarch is part of that. But also, the monarch is a symbol in Christianity for renewal and for resurrection. And so it has that symbol as well. And the other thing is everybody loves butterflies. It is also because it has such a short life, maybe 4 weeks from the time the egg hatches to it dies. It reminds us how short our lives are and how fragile our lives are. So I think a lot of people are able to look at that butterfly and sort of get a connection, a bigger connection to the earth and a bigger connection to each other.
Now, Paul, that when you went down to Mexico, that was about 10 years ago. When did you first notice that there were fewer monarch butterflies locally here on Cape Cod?
Most dramatically, Laura, the answer to that is last summer when my lens, which goes out in the beautiful gardens that my lady plants, always sees monarch butterflies. Last summer, I think I saw one monarch butterfly anywhere on the Cape. And as I roam around with my camera, it's just been decreasing dramatically. I remember maybe 5-6 years ago, I used to go out to South Cape Beach, and there would be hundreds of them fluttering about. And then 3 years ago, not so much. And now many people are saying they didn't see any butterflies, any monarchs at all last year.
And when did it occur to you to get Reverend Nell involved in this?
Actually, I was driving. I think I might have been driving to church, And Reverend Nell is, I absolutely adore and love the woman. And she, not only a wonderful spiritual person, but she is project-oriented. And so I thought this idea came to me about a month ago. I was listening to Living on Earth on NPR, and they were talking about the loss of the Monarchs. And by the time I got to church, I was bubbling over with this idea, presented it to Nell, who hugged and embraced it, and it's all been very positive ever since.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why it has been so popular is people really want to do something with their lives. You know, people are trying to create meaning in their lives and meaning making. Quite frankly, I'm overwhelmed by the response. We gave away over, 250 packages of seeds just last Saturday. The phone at the church is ringing nonstop. People are writing emails, and we're thrilled. We are thrilled. It has brought people together from all over the Cape for one purpose, and that is to save the butterfly. And I always tell people, if you can save one butterfly, you've done enough. You've done your job. And so we have actually other faith communities have reached out to us, schools have reached out to us, organizations, and we love it. We love it.
It's really taken a life of its own. Tell me about this Saturday Farmers Market. When did that start, and what times exactly can people come to that?
Well, we started a spring farmers market about 3 years ago. It runs 10 weeks during the spring, every Saturday from 10 to 2. And we'll have organic farmers and people who make specialty foods. And we started the seed giveaway last Saturday. The vendors loved it. It was the busiest time we've ever had at that farmers market.
Now, do you give people instruction on how to plant milkweed? Does it matter? Do you just throw it into the wind, or how does that all work?
Well, it really depends when you want to plant milkweed. So typically what you would do is plant seeds in the fall or the first snowfall and just kind of let nature do its course. If you want to plant in the spring, the first thing you have to do is stratify the seeds. Almost, it's like germinate the seeds. So we have instructions for that. It's very easy. You put them basically in a moist paper towel in your refrigerator for 10 days. And then we also give planting instructions on how to plant it.
Do they like sun, shade?
Sun.
Okay.
We all like sun.
And, of course, I think part of when these sort of wildflower plants disappear is we have fewer and fewer fields on Cape Cod, and maybe that was where the milkweeds would typically be. Where do you tell people to put them in their yards? How many should they have, and so on?
Well, we tell people to plant them sort of on if they have like a trees or kind of like a forest area, plant them near that in the full sun. The common milkweed has roots that spread horizontally, so you don't want to have them necessarily in a garden, and you also don't want to plant milkweed under a bird feeder because the birds, will love those little moving things, caterpillars. So.
And when do people typically see the monarchs? In the spring, and for how long here on Cape Cod? Yeah,
June and July. And the seeds don't want to be. You don't dig them in. Just scratch the soil, throw them down, and put maybe 1/8 of an inch of soil over them. So they want to be up close and out, not in. I just wanted to mention something that happened this morning. I went to the gym to work out, and three different burly gentlemen came over to me and kind of said, "You got a minute?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "Can you get me some seed?" And it just tickled me pink.
People have really embraced this project. You said that schools have also contacted you. Are you planning to talk at schools about the project?
Oh, absolutely. We would also like to give away starter plants to the schools, because I think that when you have a starter plant, then you can see a little bit more progress. And two of our young members of our church are actually doing a presentation at their Mashpee Elementary School, learning about the life cycle of the Monarch.
And where have you gone to get the seeds and the plants?
Well, we ordered them from Prairie, it's called Prairie Moon Nursery in Minnesota. And we also have given some to the Coonamessett Farm to germinate, and we'll be able to get starter plants from them as well.
And because this has been such a success, you've ordered additional seeds, is that right? Have you?
Someone actually, so we spread this, the message and the seed, and mostly, the way I see it, we're really not just spreading seed, but we're spreading this joy for nature, and it's a message rather than a seed. That's the most important thing. And so we've emailed a lot of people, and we've had some newspaper articles, and people have been calling. A gentleman just emailed me yesterday, and he said, how can I help? I said, well, what do you got? And he said, I'm going to call you the nursery and order you another pound of seed. And so that we started off purchasing the seed out of our own pocket, and now so many people are opening their pockets and wallets and wanting to join in, which is really makes us feel good, because we have, limited budgets ourselves. But now, so some people want to plant the seed, some people want to watch the chrysalis open into a butterfly, some people want to send us a check, which would be very sweetly made out to the Wacoit Congregational Church and sent to 15 Parsons Lane in East Falmouth, 02536. That would be lovely if you want to help. And if you want seed, just contact the church, and we'll be happy to get you seed.
And Reverend Nell, anything else you'd like to add about this project?
Well, yes. One of the things that we are doing is that we're reaching out to other faith communities and on the Lower Cape and the Mid Cape, and helping them to start their own Monarch project. So they can start spreading seed or giving away seed in other areas.
Thank you both for coming. I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal.
This podcast is a presentation of Cape Cod Broadcasting, which is solely responsible for its content. Thank you for listening. For more information, please visit us at capecodbroadcasting.com.